For thousands of years, the galaxy believed it had found peace. The mighty civilizations of Orion's arm, scattered across countless stars, lived under the rule of the Council of Light. It was not a government in the usual sense, but more like a promise that bound worlds together. Species that had once fought bloody wars now traded goods, shared knowledge, and raised their young under the banner of unity. The Council often said in their great halls, "The age of blood is over. War is a sickness of the past. No new race will ever rise to disturb the harmony of the stars." These words became law, and law became truth. Generations were raised without fear of invasion or conquest. Battleships once feared across systems were left in orbit, their weapons sealed, their crews disbanded. They became floating museums, silent reminders of a violent past that the galaxy had chosen to forget. To the new children of the stars, war was only a story, a warning spoken by elders but never truly understood. In this era of calm, trade flourished like rivers across space. Fleets of merchants carried food, medicine, and rare metals between worlds. Great universities shared knowledge freely, and engineers worked not to build weapons, but to make ships faster, safer, and more comfortable. Entire planets became gardens of learning and art. Some even began to believe that war was not only forgotten but impossible. And then, a small signal appeared. It came from the edge of a forgotten spiral arm, where stars burned dim and life was rare. The Council's deep space sensors detected the movement of ships, new ships, unknown designs. At first there was excitement. Another species had found the stars, another civilization ready to join the family of peace. It was a moment of celebration, not fear. The envoys prepared their speeches. They imagined nervous, fragile beings stepping into the galactic stage for the first time, awed by the greatness of the Council, ready to bow and accept guidance. That was how it had always been. New civilizations, when they first met the Council, were overwhelmed by its scale and history. They gave up their weapons, signed the treaties, and became part of the eternal harmony. But what the Council saw when the unknown fleet came closer was not what they expected. The ships that approached were not merchant vessels or explorers. They were not decorated with the bright colors of peace banners or the soft shapes of art-loving cultures. Instead, the vessels were dark and angular, their hulls sharp like blades. They carried no symbols of surrender, no marks of weakness. Their very shape spoke of purpose, a purpose forged in fire. These ships were warships. At first, the observers of the Vayari system refused to believe their eyes. They thought it must be a mistake or perhaps an illusion caused by faulty sensors. Warships were relics of the past. Who would build such things in an age of peace? But as the fleet moved closer, the truth became impossible to deny. Every line of their design, every shadowed angle of their armor, screamed one word: survival. The Council tried to reassure itself. Perhaps they only keep these ships for defense, some said. Perhaps they do not know better. But deep in their hearts, fear began to stir. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy felt a shiver of doubt. Who were these strangers from the blue planet on the edge of the spiral arm? What history had shaped them? And why did they carry war into a galaxy that had chosen to forget it? The Council of Light watched the screens in silence. The illusion of eternal peace trembled like glass. Somewhere far away, the warships of Earth sailed through the stars, and with them came a storm. The galaxy was not ready to face. The first true meeting happened in the Vayari system, a wealthy cluster of planets filled with markets, shining towers, and universities that welcomed visitors from all across the galaxy. To the people of Vayari, life was calm, predictable, and safe. Their skies had not seen war for centuries. Their children grew up learning about art, trade, and philosophy, not about defense, soldiers, or sacrifice. So when the alarms rang through their orbital stations, there was confusion, not panic. The watchers at the edge of the system saw a fleet emerging from the void. At first, they thought it was only a caravan of traders or explorers, but as the fleet drew closer, unease spread like a cold wind. These ships did not resemble anything known. Their hulls were black, absorbing light. Instead of reflecting it, Their outlines were harsh, built with straight lines and brutal angles that gave them the look of predators. There was no decoration, no color, no effort to appear beautiful. They were built for one purpose alone: war. The Vayari gasped when they saw the massive barrels of cannons mounted on the ships, weapons larger than any still in service in the council fleets. Railguns, missile pods, plasma batteries, armaments that had not been seen in active use for hundreds of years. Some officers whispered in fear, "Who would build such things? Why would anyone still keep them?" The Council of Light wasted no time. They sent envoys to greet the strangers, just as they had done with every new race before. Bright ships of diplomacy, painted in gold and white, sailed to meet the Black Fleet. Hollow screens lit up across both sides, and voices filled the channels. Two envoys spoke first, their words soft and rehearsed. "Children of Sol, welcome to the stars. You are not alone anymore. You enter a galaxy of peace and unity. Here, war is over. Disarm your weapons, lower your defenses, and join us in harmony. You will be safe among us." The envoys smiled warmly. They believed the words themselves were enough, because they had always been enough in the past. New races were usually relieved, grateful, even eager to let go of their weapons. But this time, there was only silence. The Black Fleet held its position, unmoving like a pack of wolves watching carefully from the dark. The envoys repeated their welcome, still no reply came. The galaxy had grown used to quick submission, but the humans did not bend, did not bow, and did not disarm. Finally, after hours of tension, a voice broke through the channel. It was deep, steady, and carried the weight of iron discipline. "We are not children," the human commander said. His words cut through the silence like a blade. "We are the guardians of Earth. We come not to kneel, not to surrender, and not to abandon what keeps us alive. You ask us to disarm, but to us, disarmament means death. We do not give up our defense. We do not give up our fleets." The council envoys were shocked. No one had ever spoken this way to them. No new species had ever refused their welcome, let alone challenged it so openly. Some envoys whispered in private channels that this must be a misunderstanding. Others were shaken to the core. From the black ships, weapons shifted slowly, locking into position. It was not an attack. Not yet. But a warning. A clear message. We are ready. Do not test us. The Vayari people watching the transmissions felt their blood run cold. For the first time in their lives, they saw the face of war not in a museum but in reality. The humans had spoken. They were not fragile children entering a galaxy of peace. They were survivors, shaped by fire, carrying fleets of iron into the stars. The illusion of safety that wrapped the galaxy for centuries had cracked. Something new had arrived, something that did not fit the Council's order. The humans had come, and they would not put down their weapons. The Council of Light had always believed that their words alone could calm storms. For ages, they ruled through gentle promises, not through force. Every species that joined the Council laid down its weapons willingly. It became tradition. It became faith. But now, in the space of a single meeting, that faith was shaken. The images of the human fleet spread quickly through the Council's worlds. Every screen, every news channel, every council chamber showed the same scene. Black warships standing firm against the bright, graceful vessels of diplomacy. The humans did not smile. They did not bow. Their ships did not carry banners of peace. They carried guns. Some council members laughed at first, believing it was only a show. "These humans only seek to impress us with old toys," they said. "It is nothing but a display, a relic of a violent past." Others were less certain. They whispered in fear. What if this is who they truly are? What if they do not know peace at all? For centuries, the Council had lived under the illusion that war was gone forever. To them, violence was primitive, something left behind by evolution. They thought the universe itself had grown wiser. But now, Faced with humanity, the illusion cracked like glass under a hammer. The breaking point came days later. A small council patrol fleet moved to escort the humans away from the Vayari system. It was not meant to provoke, only to remind the humans of the council's authority. The patrol ships were not built for real battle, lightly armed, ceremonial, more symbolic than practical. Their commanders carried confidence but not experience. As they approached the human fleet, the warning signals were clear. By order of the Council of Light, you are instructed to power down weapons and prepare for inspection, the patrol leader said. His voice was calm, but beneath it he carried the arrogance of a man who had never faced real danger. The humans did not obey. Instead, their ships shifted into formation with mechanical precision. Engines flared, cannons turned, and the silence of space grew heavy. For a moment, time itself seemed to stop. And then with one command, the humans fired. Streams of plasma and slugs of railgun fire tore through the patrol fleet like paper. The ceremonial ships did not stand a chance. Shields shattered, hulls split, and in the span of minutes, vessels that had once been symbols of the Council's pride burned as wreckage across the void. The Vayari citizens watching from their stations screamed as the light of explosions lit their skies. They had never seen such destruction. To them, war had been a story told by teachers, something that belonged to ancient history. Now it was alive before their eyes. The human commander spoke only once, his voice sharp and cold. "Do not test us again. We do not bow." The message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Council was stunned. For the first time in memory, their authority had been challenged and broken. The illusion that their peace was eternal had collapsed in a single battle. Some called the humans monsters, others called them saviors. But none could deny the truth. Humanity had torn away the mask the galaxy wore. Peace was not natural. Peace was not permanent. It was only a fragile dream, guarded by those strong enough to defend it. The galaxy shivered with fear. If humanity had done this without hesitation, what else were they capable of? In their silence, the humans spoke louder than words. "We have survived fire, and we will never kneel." And in that moment, the galaxy understood. The age of illusions was over. The destruction of the patrol fleet spread like fire across the stars. What was supposed to be a simple escort had ended in flames, and the galaxy could no longer pretend that the humans were harmless. The images of shattered council ships drifting through the void played on every broadcast. Citizens who had never seen war now saw wreckage, fire, and death. Entire worlds trembled. The council chambers filled with chaos. Voices rose and clashed like storms. Some shouted that humanity must be destroyed before their fleets spread further. Others argued that violence would only invite more blood. And some, quiet but firm, said the words that haunted them all. "We are too weak. We cannot fight them," because the truth was undeniable. The galaxy had forgotten war. For centuries, their fleets had been ceremonial, built for display, not survival. Their crews were trained for peacekeeping, not real battle. The weapons they carried were old, maintained out of duty but never sharpened for war. Against the humans, who had clearly spent generations perfecting the art of survival, the Council's strength looked like hollow armor. Across the stars, ordinary people argued in their homes and markets. Who were these humans? What kind of world raised such fleets? The Council had called them children of Sol, but when the people looked at the warships gliding through space with ruthless precision, they did not see children. They saw warriors. Fear turned quickly into stories, and stories into legends. Some said humanity was born on a world scarred by endless battles, where survival demanded strength. Others whispered that they had fought each other for centuries until only the strongest remained, and in the darkest corners of the galaxy, rumors spread that the humans were not just survivors but predators who saw the Council as weak prey. But not everyone saw monsters. To the smaller species, the ones often overlooked, the ones who lived on fragile worlds without strong defenses, the humans seemed like something different. They seemed like protectors. Perhaps, some said, These humans carry weapons not to conquer but to guard. Yet no one could be certain. Humanity's silence, their refusal to explain themselves, left the galaxy guessing. Meanwhile, the human fleets moved with discipline that chilled the Council's admirals. Every formation was perfect. Every maneuver was sharp. Their ships did not drift lazily like the Council's, but cut through the void like hunters. It was not only their technology that frightened the galaxy, it was their will. One ambassador, shaken after watching hours of footage, whispered, "We thought we had outgrown war, but they never stopped training for it. To them, survival is war." The Council tried to open talks again. More envoys were sent, carrying pleas for understanding. They offered trade, protection, even high positions in the Great Union. But the humans gave only short replies. They neither threatened to invade nor promised to obey. Their words were calm, but cold. "We will not be ruled. We will not be unarmed. Leave us in peace, and we will leave you in peace." It was not the kind of answer the Council knew how to handle. They had no practice dealing with defiance. For thousands of years, their authority had gone unquestioned. But now, a new power had stepped into the stars, one that did not fear them, and so the galaxy lived in uncertainty. Some worlds prepared defenses they knew were useless. Some prayed the humans would stay in their own corner of the spiral arm. And others, quietly, began to wonder if perhaps the humans were the shield the galaxy did not know it needed. 4. In the deep dark beyond the Council's borders, old threats stirred, shadows that had waited while the galaxy slept in its illusion of peace. The humans had not come by accident. They had come because they knew what the others had forgotten. The stars were never safe. The Council of Light, shaken by fear and uncertainty, finally decided to send a direct delegation to Earth itself. If words spoken through screens brought no answers, then perhaps face-to-face contact would reveal the truth. They hoped that seeing humanity's home would explain why these people carried warships like shields. And so, an ambassadorial fleet of silver-white vessels traveled across the stars to Sol. Their ships were bright and beautiful, decorated with symbols of peace. They carried no weapons, only envoys, translators, and scholars. The journey was long, but at last the fleet reached the blue planet humans called Earth. What they saw stunned them. From orbit, Earth was alive with color. Oceans glittered like jewels. Forests spread like green seas. Great cities shone with lights, and ships moved across the skies and seas with restless energy. It was beautiful, but it was also scarred. Across continents, the envoys saw battlefields preserved as memorials. They saw monuments carved for fallen soldiers, graveyards stretching endlessly under the sun, and museums that held tanks, jets, and warships from ages long past. Unlike the Council worlds, which had erased their bloody history, humanity had kept its scars in full view. They did not hide their pain. They remembered it. The Council envoys were received in a vast hall in Geneva. Waiting for them were human leaders and military officers, men and women dressed not in robes of ceremony, but in uniforms of duty. Their faces were calm, strong, and unyielding. At their side stood admirals whose very presence carried the weight of command. The chief envoy of the Council spoke gently, his voice trembling with both respect and unease. "Why do you come to the stars carrying weapons of war? Why do you meet peace with fleets of iron?" The human admiral who answered was old, his hair gray, his eyes sharp. His voice carried no anger, only truth. "We know peace," he said, "but peace is never free. It exists only when someone is willing to guard it." The envoy frowned. "But war is gone. We have built harmony for thousands of years." The admiral shook his head slowly. "You built harmony because you forgot. We built strength because we remembered." He led the envoys to a great hall filled with relics of human conflict, rusted helmets, broken flags, shattered weapons, and photos of ruins. The walls told a story of endless struggle, wars of empire, wars of survival, wars against hunger, against plagues, against despair itself. Humanity's history was not clean. It was carved in blood, sacrifice, and stubborn endurance. The admiral stopped before a wall filled with names, millions of them, etched into steel. "These are not the names of conquerors," he said. "These are the names of those who fell, so that others might live. Our warships are not built to enslave. They are built to ensure we never fall again." The council envoys stood silent, shaken to their cores. They had believed peace was the natural state of life, but here stood a species that showed them the opposite, that peace was fragile, and only strength could protect it. The admiral's voice grew softer, almost sorrowful. "You live in a galaxy where no threat has come for 1,000 years. You think the stars are kind. But we know better. We have seen the cruelty of nature, of enemies, of ourselves. We learned a truth that you chose to forget. Survival is not given. It is earned." For the first time, the council envoys realized their error. They had mistaken strength for savagery, survival for aggression. Humanity did not carry weapons because they loved war. They carried them because they loved life. The envoys returned to their ships changed. The galaxy they had known was gone. The humans had revealed a truth that could not be ignored. Peace without defense was an illusion, and illusions could shatter. And now, the galaxy had to decide if it was ready to face the truth, or if it would continue to live in denial, even as shadows gathered in the dark. The words of the human admiral spread across the council like a storm. Envoys returned from Earth shaken, carrying messages that challenged everything the galaxy believed. Peace, they realized, was not eternal. It was not a gift of time, nor the reward of wisdom. It was a fragile flame, alive only as long as someone guarded it. Now, the galaxy stood at a crossroads. In the grand halls of the Council of Light, arguments raged without end. Some members rose in anger. Humanity is a threat. Their fleets are weapons waiting to strike. If we allow them to remain, they will spread fear across every star. We must destroy them before it is too late. Others spoke with trembling voices. And how will you destroy them? With what strength? Our fleets are weak, our people unprepared, do you not see? They can shatter us in days if they wished. Silence often followed those words because deep down, everyone knew they were true. The council was rich in knowledge but poor in will. They had grown comfortable, too used to safety. Humanity had not but there were also voices that saw something different. The leaders of smaller, weaker worlds, those who always feared being forgotten, looked at humanity with hope. These people may not be conquerors, they argued. Perhaps they are guardians. Perhaps their strength is the very shield we have always prayed for. The debate split the galaxy in two: fear against hope, suspicion against trust. Meanwhile, humanity remained silent. Their fleets did not expand beyond their claimed space, but neither did they retreat. They stood like iron walls at the edge of the spiral arm, watching, waiting. Every move they made was precise, disciplined, and purposeful. To some, it looked like preparation for war. To others, it looked like preparation for something even greater. Rumors began to spread, rumors that reached even the hidden corners of the galaxy. Traders whispered of shadows moving in the void, far beyond the council's borders. Old ruins, once thought dead, now pulsed with strange signals. Silent systems that had long been avoided stirred with life. Some even said ancient. Enemies long forgotten were beginning to awaken. The council dismissed such talk as fear-born nonsense. But humanity did not. The envoys who had walked the halls of Earth remembered the words of the admiral. Survival is not given, it is earned. And they began to wonder, had humanity come not to conquer, but because they already knew what the galaxy had chosen to forget? In hidden meetings, whispers grew louder. Some council leaders admitted in private that perhaps humanity was right. Perhaps the galaxy had been blind, living in illusions while dangers gathered beyond the stars. Perhaps the humans were not a threat at all, but the only ones prepared for what was coming. Yet still, others refused to listen. No, they shouted. They will enslave us with fear. They will rule us with their weapons. We must unite against them. But those words rang hollow, for none had the courage to face the humans directly. And so the galaxy waited, divided and uncertain. Every world looked to the skies with questions burning in their hearts. Were the humans monsters who would one day bring fire to the stars? Or were they guardians who carried wisdom carved from endless struggle? The Council's illusions were gone. The choice was no longer between peace and war, but between denial and truth. The humans had shown them a mirror. In it, the galaxy saw what it had become: weak, complacent, and blind. Now, all that remained was a question whispered on every world. Would they accept the truth of survival, or would they continue to hide in dreams until the darkness returned to devour them? The galaxy could no longer look at itself the same way. The dream of eternal peace, a dream that had lasted for centuries, had been broken. And it was humanity that had broken it, not with speeches, but with the sight of warships cutting across the stars. Across council worlds, people lived in unease. Markets were still busy, children still played, and cities still shone with light. But in every conversation there was a shadow. The question was always the same: what will the humans do next? But the truth was clearer with each passing day. Humanity did not move to conquer. They did not march fleets across the galaxy. They stayed within their borders, silent and watchful. Their warships, dark and sharp, patrolled like guardians of a secret no one else could see. Some called them monsters. Others called them saviors. But everyone agreed they had changed everything. The Council of Light met again, desperate to reclaim its confidence. Its great chamber echoed with endless voices. Some shouted for an alliance with humanity, to share strength and learn from them. Others demanded to banish them, to wall off their systems and pretend they did not exist. But the wisest among them spoke quietly. The illusions are gone. We cannot pretend any longer. The stars are not safe. They have never been safe. That truth cut deep. For generations, the galaxy had lived in comfort, in the sweet lie that peace was the nature of the universe. But humanity had shown them otherwise. Peace was not a natural law. It was fragile, delicate, and temporary. It lived only as long as someone was willing to bleed for it. And humanity knew this better than anyone. On Earth, the old admiral stood once more before his people. His speech was not broadcast to the galaxy, but it reached those who needed to hear it. His voice carried strength, sorrow, and hope all at once. "We are not here to rule," he said. "We are not here to destroy. We are here because the stars are not empty. We are here because dangers still exist, and when they come, peace alone will not save you. Only strength will." And far beyond the borders of the council, in the black silence of forgotten space, signals flickered, faint, ancient, and cold. Something stirred. Something that had waited patiently while the galaxy dreamed. Humanity had not forgotten it, but the others had. The council did not admit it publicly, but whispers passed through the ranks of their admirals. Quietly, carefully, they began to rebuild their fleets. They began to retrain their crews. They began to learn once more what it meant to defend, not just to exist. And though many hated to admit it, they took inspiration from the humans. The illusions were gone, but hope remained. Because though the humans had shattered the dream of eternal peace, they had replaced it with something stronger, a reminder that survival was possible, that guardians still walked among the stars. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was awake. Awake to fear, yes, but also awake to truth. And perhaps one day, awake to courage. As human warships sailed silently along the edge of the spiral arm, their dark hulls gleaming against the starlight, the galaxy watched with a mix of dread and gratitude. They were not children. They were not conquerors. They were humanity, scarred, unyielding, and eternal. And because of them, the galaxy would never again sleep in illusions.